Did you just buy the brand new DJI Mini 3 Pro? Well, in this video, I walk you through a quick basic beginner's guide on how to set yourself up for a great first flight. Let's get started. Let's talk about what comes in the box. You're going to get a remote control if you ordered one of the two options that come with a remote. One option is the brand new DJI RC remote with the 5.5-inch built-in screen, which is amazing. And the other option is the traditional RC N1 controller that we're all used to. You also get the drone, the DJI Mini 3 Pro. You get one battery that comes with the DJI Mini 3 Pro. You also get two spare sets of blades, their mounting screws, and a screwdriver, and the USB-C cable. But you don't get a charging brick. It's kind of like an Apple thing. Now, first things first, when you unbox your drone and you get everything out, you want to charge your batteries. So the drone battery actually comes in a dormant state. You have to charge it in order to wake it up. And 30 watts is the max that the battery will charge at. So this will take just over an hour. Now, if you have a charger that is under 30 watts, it will simply take longer. And the way you're going to charge it is really easy. You're going to plug your battery in. Then you're going to take your USB-C cable, plug it into the back, and then plug that into a wall charging brick. Now, the remote controller, there's two different remotes here. One thing to note is the RC controller, the brand new one with the built-in screen, will last you up to 4 hours. And the RC N1 controller that you mount your cell phone onto, or you can do a tablet, will last you up to 6 hours on a full charge. You want to give your drone a once-over. What does that mean? Just look for anything abnormal, any loose parts that seems like they shouldn't be loose. I would suggest going around to each one of the mounting screws for the blades and just make sure that they're snug. Don't over tighten them, of course. You just want to make sure that they're on there securely. Now, the next thing I would recommend is to take the gimbal cover off gently. There will be a piece of foam in the back. You'll just simply want to pull that out. Now, some owners like to keep that foam in because they believe it makes it easier to put the gimbal back on, the gimbal cover. Now, the gimbal cover is a little tricky, I'll be honest, but even without the foam piece, you just make sure it's level there. And then there is, let's see if you can see it up there, there is a hook that's got to go in the top. I insert that first. So it's definitely not the easiest gimbal cover to put on, but it does work, whether you've got that foam piece that came in the packaging or not. So go ahead and take that gimbal cover back off. If you tried snapping it back on just to practice, you're just going to want to check to make sure the gimbal's got some free play here. There's nothing holding it in place. It should be nice and loose. The gimbal should be nimble, put it that way. But there shouldn't, there's two mounting points here, and they should definitely be secure. So in general, you just, again, want to make sure that the drone looks to be functional and everything the way it should be. All right, so let's turn everything on now. The first thing you want to turn on is your drone. Now make sure that this gimbal cover is not on. As soon as you turn the drone on, it's going to want to do its setup with the gimbal. So you press the power button once to turn it on and press it a second time and hold it down. See all 4 lights light up. Now the drone is active. The second thing you want to turn on is your remote, which I've already done that here. Now on the RC N1 controller, I always recommend having your cell phone already mounted on your USB-C cable to Lightning if you've got an Apple, or USB-C to USB-C if you have an Android, plugged in and powered on. Your phone should be on and unlocked. And then you press once and press a second time, and that will actually turn on your remote as well. I'm not going to turn it on right this second though. The next thing you're going to do is launch the DJI Fly App, which on the DJI RC controller, the brand new one, it's already launched. And then you want to register your drone. Now I'm already registered, but you will essentially create with an email address and a password an account, and then you will choose to log in, which I'm going to do here. And now I'm logged in to my account. Initially, you're going to register your drone and you're going to register your remote. They're going to be married together. And once that is done, you're going to want to make sure you have the latest firmware updates. It's important to do this right away. Don't try and fly the drone without your firmware updates. So it's a safety thing. You always want to have your drone current and up to date. Now, once you've updated all the firmware, you're going to go to the main screen and check for any error messages, and I'll show that to you right now. So I go back here. This is kind of the screen before the flight screen. On the bottom right, it actually says Go Fly. You're going to want to tap that. Once you tap that, you go into the main screen. And then in order to check for any error messages, you're going to want to tap up here at the top. There's 3 different things to tap. There's an arrow left to go back to that main screen. There's N mode is what that states there, which is your normal mode for your different speed settings here. And then there's one that says takeoff permitted. That's the one you're going to want to tap. Now, it may not say takeoff permitted, mine does, but whatever it states there, that is an area of the flight modes that is for pre-flight check. At the very top here, you're going to get any alerts, and you're going to get codes with those alerts letting you know what is going on with the drone, or you'll get a green light saying takeoff permitted, everything's cool, everything's fine. Now there's some other settings here, but they're for later. That's really all you want to check when you're first looking at your drone. That's the whole reason. You know, the first time you unbox it, you want to make sure everything looks good. You fire up the drone, match it or marry it to your DJI Fly app and connect it and see if there's any alerts or any concerns here that the onboard computer is seeing. And that's it. Everything looks good. Then you basically shut everything down and you're ready for your first flight. So the last thing that I recommend you do is what I like to call the hover test. You're simply going to take your drone outside, find a hard, flat surface. I mean, for the most part, it should be flat. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. But you do want to make sure that it's in an open area that has nothing immediately around it, and especially above it, like a tree branch or just a random thing hanging over the top. All right, so here we are outside. We found a nice hard surface, flat surface for our hover test. I've already got the drone out. I left the gimbal cover on. Again, want to be very safe around that camera and the gimbal until I'm ready to power it on, which we'll do right now. So what we're going to do is my preferred sequence. We're going to fire up the drone first, and then we're going to fire up the remote. So sequence is tap once, tap and hold a second time, and that will start booting up. Same thing with the remote, tap once, tap a second time, and the remote's now on. This hover test is simple, straightforward. We just want to see if there's any warnings or error codes that get thrown while hovering about 3-4 feet off the ground. The drone will actually control how far off the ground it hovers. Now we're going to launch the drone or take off. There's a circle with an arrow up on the left-hand side of the screen. Tap that once, and now we have the takeoff. Just tap and hold, the circle completes, and the drone fires off, and will actually hover up above for you. Now, as you can see, we have 21 satellites. That's really good. You can hear the warnings going off. It's firing off because of the obstacle avoidance, and I'm really close to it. All right, so let's check our in-flight, or actually our pre-flight check section. It says in-flight here at the top. It can actually say multiple different things. You're just gonna tap on that real quick. It's gonna open up our pre-flight checklist. And what we're going to see down here or up at the top is that pre-flight status or the flight status is normal. So the drone's functioning 100% the way it should be. And that's it. Just tap out of the screen here. In order to land, you're going to still tap on the left-hand side. Now it's a down arrow though with a circle, and that's its home point. So we're going to tap that once, and then we're going to tap and hold here. Circle completes, and the drone will land itself. And that's it. It couldn't be any more easy than that. Now it's time for your first flight, right? Well, you may be thinking that, but hold on a second. Whether you're flying for the first time or not, I believe a pre-flight checklist is a good idea before taking off. I've put together another video where I go over my own pre-flight checklist that has saved me a lot of time and potential headaches that obviously come when crashing your drone. Now, you can watch that video by clicking or tapping up here.